Hi, it says you're connecting to audio. I hope you could hear me.
I can hear you, yes.
Hi, I'm Alicia
Hello?
from Delphi.
Hello? Sorry I'm late.
It's okay. I'm still here, so it's fine.
Nice to
Um,
meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Can I ask your name?
I am Mychal.
Nice to meet you, Michael. I'm Alicia again from Delphi.
Nice to meet you.
When you're ready, we can just get started and jump right into it.
Okay. Ready to go.
All right, cool. So, the first question I guess I have is, what was your previous life like prior to incarceration?
That was pretty much just me in the streets,
Mm-hmm.
following the crowd, hanging out. I got kicked out of school in 11th grade for a big fight that I was a part of. So I basically solidified some status in the streets, and that's the direction I went. You know,
Yeah.
I flirted with gang affiliation for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my friends were in a gang, and just that's pretty much it. Had no direction.
Yeah.
So
So, a follow-up question I have is, if you had prior work experience, can you explain what that was?
yeah, so my first job, in ninth grade in high school, I worked at like a Taco Bell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it started out like that, like working at a Taco Bell. Then I worked at McDonald's for a little bit. Then this is before I went to prison. I worked at McDonald's for a little bit. I did, some construction,
Mm-hmm.
for about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was laying asphalt for a company because I'm from Long Island.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, so cool,
Yeah.
cool. What part?
Right now I'm in Oman. What part are you from?
I'm from, I guess way out like by Mastic Ridge, Shirley,
Oh,
Belfort.
Yeah, I've heard of over there.
Yeah, I'm from over there in that area.
Yeah,
So
nice.
yeah,
So,
so
yeah, you can continue.
I'm listening. I mean, as far as like, before prison, that was basically my work experience. Now during prison, I did welding for 2 years,
Hmm.
and that was pretty much it.
So, how was your educational experience prior to incarceration? Not great.
I mean, I struggled in school, I guess,
Mm,
academically, I never really paid attention. I was just always goofing around. I looked at going to
yeah.
school as like a fashion show, just want to be cool, just want to hang out with the fellas,
Mm,
want to chase girls, and that was pretty much it, so before, again, I got expelled from high school in the 11th grade, so
mm.
I don't even know how I made it that far. But yeah, I made it to 11th grade, and
Hey,
I did.
that's pretty far though.
Yeah. So it stopped like after that. After I got kicked out of high school, I was
Mm,
pretty much in the streets.
yeah.
Then about so that happened in like 2000 and that happened in 2004. I got
Mm.
expelled. 3 years later, I went to prison for 13 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So, what were some of like your goals and ambitions growing up?
I didn't have none. I mean,
Hmm.
I didn't even like. I was just like existing. I was just there.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just like, I was born and I just grew up in a lot of different environments. Like I grew up in like Wandale, Colum. I've been to like, I think that played a role too. Just like I moved around a lot, when I
Hmm.
was young. I went to like 8 or 9 different schools in my
Oh
11th
wow.
years in school. So, I mean, so so by the time I got to school, settled down got to know people. Just like I was moving again. So I probably played a role in how serious I took, education. But before that, I didn't have nothing. I had no ambition. I just wanted to smoke weed, hang out, and that was basically it.
Yeah.
That was my day to day.
So, what skills did you gain while you were incarcerated that you'd say you're most proud of?
Well, I definitely, I took to reading. I definitely read a lot. That was one of the first things I did. And I think I would like to think of reading as a skill.
Yeah, I think so too.
In and of itself. So I picked up that and I took that serious. And, I've also, I learned to write. I learned to manage, I guess I learned to manage my life better, in terms of like the relationships I have with people, in terms of like the decisions I make on a day, like little things. It's like, if I have a decision to go hang out or rather go be home, I would choose to just go hang out in my cell, So those little things kind of like groomed me to make better decisions. I got my GED, while I was in there. And I started college about 2 years ago. I've only been home for about 6 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, but for the last 2 years, since 2018, I've been in college. So, basically that's teaching me a lot of skills like critical thinking, qualitative research, and, how to communicate and, develop an idea and how to argument and basically how to have an opinion on everything.
So how do you think your mindset changed, like, as a result of, like, mindfulness, meditation practice, and, like, learning experiences?
Yeah, I'm much more self-aware. Like, I pay attention to what's going inside of me more. As a result, I'm way more ambitious. I'm way more driven, way more focused because I'm paying attention to what is happening inside me, in relationship to the world I live in. So that's changed. I feel more developed as a person. I have things that I'm interested in. I have things that, I like to do uniquely, like things that, like, so it's just like growing up, like I was just telling you, I did things because that was like the norm. I was just fitting in. I didn't do things because I necessarily like to do it, so I didn't really know who I was or what I liked. But when I went to prison, I was kind of developed as a person to where I could say, you know what, I like to read.
Yeah.
I like to listen to this type of music. I like to do this. So, excuse me.
It's okay.
So, so that's what happened.
It's 12:39 and these Zoom meetings go for like 40 minutes. So if it cuts off, I'll send you a new link so that we can keep continuing the interview.
Okay.
But, my next question would be, could you describe like the service programs you were involved in while you were in?
When I first went to prison, I was kind of like suspicious of like, ministry programs because it seemed to be like these like generic programs that treat everybody the same way. Right? So just like a process that everybody go through and they just teach you these like boring things so they wasn't really engaging me as a person, so it was just like, so I didn't really participate in any programming. No college, no nothing. So I just pretty much just read, stayed in my cell a lot and just read. I kind of like developed my own like set of services for myself. Some kind of programming for myself. But that's until like maybe like the last like 4 years of being in prison. That's when I started to, I guess, reach out to different programs. Like I was a part of this entrepreneur program called Defy Ventures.
Mhm.
I became a part of the network. I became a part of NYU, high achievers. So those are just a few things I started to do, over the last few years of my incarceration.
So while you were incarcerated, can you describe like your experiences with like individuals you would encounter and stuff?
I was actually, real, like, I kept to myself, so I was real reserved.
Mhm.
You know, there's people in prison that don't even know the sound of my voice.
Oh wow.
There. So just like I was there, but I was basically invisible.
Mhm. So
And
would
that's the way
anyone ever? Oh, would anyone ever like go up to you or like start conversations?
I mean, so I was in Sing Sing for 7 years. And being in Sing Sing, because I was there for so long, I worked in a mess hall. After a while, I had to like interact with a few of the people I worked with.
Mhm.
But outside of that, nah.
Oh
For
wow.
the most part, people just left me alone.
So you mentioned that you got your GED and you started a college program. So the next question I have here is, did your incarceration experience include like educational opportunities? And if not, would you have wanted this?
Absolutely. I mean, like, yeah, like, so I was in my county in Riverhead for 2 years, and they don't even I was an adult, so they didn't
Mhm.
have an adult GED program. I was like the only, I could say at that time that I was there in like 2008, I was the only adult in a minor GED program.
Oh wow.
And that wasn't supposed to happen, but I made a push for it,
Mhm.
and I was able to get my GED while I was there. So I kind of created that opportunity for myself, in combination with other people who saw my drive to get it and they, helped me out. And I would say, when I went upstate to a state prison, there's a lot of educational opportunities there.
Mhm.
I guess what kept me from pursuing it earlier in my state bid
Mhm.
was I just caught a bad vibe, and I didn't feel like it was for me.
Yeah.
So I just kind of basically just, created my own educational, track.
Mhm.
But I think there should be more, there's not a lot of people that go to college. It's like a small community, and that's throughout the state of, New York prisons.
Yeah.
And I feel strongly that it should be mandated. Everybody that
Mhm.
goes to prison should be mandated to do at least 2 years of college. At least be
Yeah.
associates.
Yeah. I think so too. Just to give yourself like that kind of opportunity.
Yeah. So that's so important. Just the training and knowing how to communicate, whether, professionally, whether, through writing or just, physically with people. And critical thinking. So those are like communication and critical thinking are two basic things that you learn at an
Mm.
associate's level of college. So.
Yeah. So like after college, what do you value in like your work experience in terms of a future career or a job?
Independence.
Mhm.
I learned this in college that I, I like working alone. I like setting my own, like, I like doing things a certain way. And it always felt like when I did jobs where I worked with people that I couldn't really think for myself. I couldn't
Mhm.
see things how I want to see them. I always had to basically conform to, I guess, the group. And that goes back to what led me to prison in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Conforming to a group. So I never really liked that, and I always figured out when I when I'm when I keep to myself and do my own thing, I'm always a lot better. I'm always better off
Mhm.
because it's just like I'm thinking for myself and I'm doing things that I like, and I'm not trying to adjust my way of seeing things to please somebody else. So
Yeah.
I think moving forward, you know, having the independence to just do my own thing. And that's why I'm kind of like I'm drawn to like entrepreneurship
Mhm.
and like freelance work because I could just, set my own hours and just, work at my own pace and just be my own boss.
Oh, that's amazing. So, like, what fields are you interested in pursuing for work at the present time?
At the present time, I'm a full-time student. So I'm transitioning to a bachelor program at NYU. So that's why I'm active in that right now. So I'm not really actively seeking work. I'm still trying to I'm just trying to develop a skill set that can help me be successful, like after I graduate college. And at that point, I should have mentioned this before too. I want something that would allow me to be I want to do something for work that would allow me to be independent, but also at the same time, it would allow me to be creative. I like creating things. So, I'm trying to develop a career. I want to develop a career as a creative director for for-profit program, for a creative director for-profit startups and non-profit organizations.
So, like, which skills have you developed after incarceration? Like, right now, where you are?
So right now, I'm working, so while I was in prison, I basically lived an isolated life. I didn't interact too much with people unless it was absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
So I think right now I'm internalizing a lot of like people skills, like social skills, like how to, conduct myself in a social environment with people. As you can see, I'm at like, around a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Right. So, I'm just trying to adjust to that, and learn like a few basic, social skills that can just help me improve how I, behave around people, because I'm kind of awkward, because it's like you ever listen to like a composition of music, and it's just this key that just sounds like it's not in tune with everything else. And it's like, I'm recognizing a harmony that everybody knows is doing things, and I'm just like one of those notes that are just not in melody with everybody else. But I'm getting better at it. I'm also learning, so where I live at Ignacio House. That's a house of studies for formerly incarcerated men. And I have like I guess I play a leadership role in the learning center. So I'm like the coordinator. So I guess I'm learning like some leadership skills. It's like some management skills on how to, manage a certain area, how to organize, activities for the community. So social skills and leadership and management skills.
That's good. So, would you have been exposed to mindfulness, like, had it not been for your time in incarceration?
Nah, absolutely not. I mean, mindfulness, like, the whole idea of just, like, being in your body, being in the moment, being aware and sensitive to, what's going on inside you, and that was, like, the furthest thing to my mind when I was before prison. I mean, like, I was so, like, literally, I was just like, I guess I was so numb to who I was, like, it was almost like an out of body experience, like, before prison. Like, I wasn't even in my body. I was just like in other people's body and other people's, like, and I was never in me. I never owned my body. So just like, learning like some mindfulness and self-awareness while in prison, it kind of like just brought me back into my own flesh and blood. Like, this is what it feels like to be me. These are my brown eyes. These are my hands. Like, this is me right here. So let me embrace this.
So, how did you learn about the network support services?
So I went to Fishkill in 2000. I was transferred to Fishkill in 2016. And when I first went there, I heard about like a dorm that was like people who were basically like me, people who were, trying to improve the way they saw things, improve the way they made decisions and stuff like that. And it was different because it wasn't, this school has an honor dome where like everybody wanted to go there. You know, everybody was trying to like get into an honor dome, but it wasn't like that with network. Nobody really liked going up there, but it was because like the structure of it was completely different. Like it was like it was like a community where, a real community where the brothers up there, you know, did workshops together. They ate together. They watched. They did a lot of things together, and it was just up there on time with each other. And it wasn't like that everywhere. Not everybody like likes doing stuff like that in prison. Pretty much everybody kind of like they do their own thing or have their own little crew, and that's about it.
Yeah.
When I went to and like, so being exposed to that kind of housing unit, you know, with everything I just said, kind of appealed to me, and I was like, damn, how can I get up there? But there was some conflict because I wanted to work. So, and you couldn't work as a welder or did industry. You couldn't work as an industry worker while being in the program because it requires you to do workshops and do community program up there. So, but that was the first time that I came across that.
So would you say, like, would your life be different had you practiced mindfulness prior to incarceration?
Absolutely. I mean, it would have like changed my whole trajectory, like in a deep way. Like I would have took like, I would say if I would have learned about mindfulness, I learned about like, or been exposed to something that could kind of like just teach me about or help me pay attention more to me. That definitely would have changed like, you know, my whole future. I would have probably took education more serious. I would have been more sensitive to a lot of more things that I wasn't really paying attention to.
Yeah.
You know, so like, you know, little things too, like how I was dressing, who I was around, how I was eating, you know, paying attention to little details like that, and like mindfulness helps you with that. You know, kind of just would just change like just everything.
So, like, what do you think you could have prevented? Like, what could have prevented you from being incarcerated?
I think one of the things could have been, you know, being surrounded by people that cared about me, cared about, you know, my life.
Yeah.
People that cared about my development, you know, on top of, you know, not taking school serious and being in the streets, you know, I was raised by a single mother.
Oh, wow.
And she liked to do her thing, you know. So there wasn't really there wasn't really no like pressure. You know, there was because, I mean, it's weird because I grew up in like a household that had like a lot of like domestic violence. So, and I used to get in trouble a lot when I was like in first grade because I wasn't doing good in school.
Yeah.
But as I grew older, kind of like, I guess I just didn't, I don't know, something probably, maybe I don't know, maybe I was just, maybe if there was just somebody that, you know, I had like a good role model, somebody that just took an interest in me, cared about what I was doing. And I was just like with because I want to say that my stepfather like tried to get me to do good in school, but the way he did it wasn't effective.
Yeah.
You know, so just like he tried to scare me and in the process probably, you know, traumatized me in a way, right? But to have somebody who could have just, you know, cared for me, you know, sat down, ate with me, talked to me, showed me things, you know, that could have changed a lot.
Mhm. So, my final question is, what are your goals for the future in terms of housing?
Housing. So after I graduate, I should be ready to, I wanna, I wanna live in Manhattan for a few years.
Mm,
I wanna go to Manhattan and rent a nice apartment for just a few years, at least until I get a master's,
yeah.
and, you know, just to have that experience. Then I'll probably just, move somewhere else.
Mhm. Oh, so do you think you'd stay in New York or like go
Nah,
out of
nah,
state?
nah, nah. I would eventually move out of New York. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for putting together the questions or showing some kind of interest in, who we are
Hmm.
and inside this whole incarcerated world. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, I feel
we
like it's very interesting and I feel like it's important that, your stories be heard.
absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll be in contact with you either for follow-up questions or to show you the final bio for your approval.
Cool. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Michael. It was nice meeting you.
Likewise. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.